Such a joy as always to be together. We start as usual with a question that's come in advance from our global family, sending them in from across the world, and then we'll open it up to any questions that anyone here may have. I have a problematic relationship with money and abundance. I am very spiritual, but I want to be more in abundance and have money to live a good life. But I'm always in debt. I'm frustrated about this circumstance as it happens again and again. How can I solve my problematic relationship with money and abundance? There is a misconception in a lot of the more new agey kind of recent teachings that the abundance that spirituality gives us is in the form of money. That somehow if you are spiritual enough and you chant the right mantras and you do the right practices and you recite the right affirmations and you do all of that, that when you open your eyes from your meditation, there's going to be a mound of money in front of you. Now, spirituality, our way of thinking, our way of believing, our way of living, absolutely brings abundance. But it's not in the form of a mound of money. Now that doesn't mean that financial prosperity and spirituality can't go together. Of course they can. There's plenty of people who are very well off financially, who are also deeply spiritual. Just like there are plenty of people who are not so well off financially, who are deeply spiritual. I mean, it cuts across. And the reason is that the abundance that spirituality gives us is the awareness that who we are and what we have is enough, is more than enough. The abundance that our meditation gives us is an internal experience of our cup running so much over that we feel so full of gratitude that what we want to do is share. See, rich and poor are not only about what you have, it's about how you think about what you have. There's plenty of people I know who have got a lot of money, but who feel like they don't have enough, who are constantly wanting more and more. And I would call them poor. Because as long as your experience is one of lack, you're poor, right? And if we said, what's the definition of poor? Someone who doesn't have enough. Well, who decides if you've got enough? Now, obviously, there's far too many people on this planet who really don't have enough, and for whom we have to work and serve, who don't have food, who don't have shelter, who don't have clothes, who don't have education, who don't have health care. But that's a different topic. This is the concept that somehow, if I am spiritual, abundance is going to come, and that abundance is going to come in the form of money. It doesn't. The abundance that comes is the awareness that whatever I have is such a gift. Whatever I have is so much. I am so blessed that what I want to do is share. This is one of the things that touched me so deeply when I first came to India. Because I looked around and I saw all these people living so far below the Western standards of poverty. And they were so happy. I always share that, you would go around and say to the sweeper on the street, "Aap kaise hain? How are you?" And he would say, "Well, bas ma Ganga ki kripa." It's just Ganga's grace. Bhagwan ki kripa. These women walking through the Himalayas, carrying pounds of firewood on their head so they can go back to cook one meal a day. You say, "Aap kaise hain?" Bas Bhagwan ki kripa. It's God's grace. Whereas what I had experienced in my life was people who had so much material wealth. And yet when you said to them, "How are you?" what you got was a whole list of things that were wrong. This problem, that problem, this, that. And I came here and what I saw was people just wanting to serve, wanting to feed, wanting to give. I was warned in the very beginning, don't eat anything from outside, right? You come from the West, you come to India, and we're warned, "Taki pet kharab na ho," you should not get sick. Don't eat anything outside. But so many people would say, "Please come home for a meal." And I would say, no, because I had learned, don't eat anywhere. But they wanted to feed so badly. They didn't have money barely to feed their families. But they wanted to feed me. And when I wouldn't come for a meal, they'd say, "Well, at least you must come for a cold drink." Now in India, cold drink means soda pop. Like Coke, Pepsi, these things. Now I never drank those. Not in America, not here. But in people's mind, you're from America, you must drink soda pop. So they would say, no, you must come for cold drink. And they would send their child into the market to bring back, a bottle of soda pop that, of course, now I had to drink. And it was the daily amount of money that they would spend on vegetables. So they would eat now, rice and dal because there was no longer money for vegetables. But they would sit around watching me drink something that I didn't even want to be drinking, but now I had to drink it to make them happy. But they would sit around watching me drink, so happy that they had given me something. That's abundance. That is abundance. That's wealth. That you have so much in your heart that regardless of what's on your plate or in your closet or in your driveway or in your bank account, you want to share. So the abundance that our spiritual practice gives us is the abundance that comes from gratitude, from an awareness that we have been so blessed. So to our beautiful sister sister or brother in Germany, asking this question, allow your spiritual practice to be one not that pulls you out of debt, but that regardless of your financial situation, makes you feel that inseparability with the abundance of the universe. Nature is abundant. Look, just turn around. Look at the leaves. Look at the flowers. Nature is infinitely abundant. We are one with creation, that same abundance that puts apples on apple trees. We are one with that. And of course, on purely pragmatic levels, if you find that you can't get yourself out of debt, well, you can use your spirituality not to somehow magically manifest a mountain of money, but to ask yourself, how can I live differently, choose differently? Or maybe at this particular moment, this intersection of time and space, the karmic lesson, not a punishment, not a punishment, not a reward, not a punishment. Karma doesn't operate as rewards and punishments. It gives us important lessons that we need to learn, experiences we need to have to get closer to the divine. So you may ask yourself, if you find that no matter what you do, debt is there, ask yourself, okay, God, what am I supposed to learn from this? What's the experience I'm supposed to have as someone in debt? How is this supposed to help bring me closer to the divine? Maybe it's about faith. Maybe it's about surrender. Maybe it's about something else. But if you find that patterns in your life keep arising, first we look at our own, psychological and emotional situations. Why do I keep drawing and creating these situations? But if there's nothing there, then I shift to the karmic level. Okay, well, so if I'm not doing it with my psyche, this must just be my karmic package in this moment. Something I'm supposed to learn and experience from it. But the gifts of Mahalakshmi, the goddess of abundance and prosperity, is not stack of bills or coins. It's a full heart. That's the fullness. That's the abundance. Not that I can build a mansion while others live in shacks, or that I can eat caviar while others are starving. But that I can recognize the fullness of myself, my capital S self, and share that with others. Yes, your second question. पहले उसका होगा, कल से वो wait कर रही है. Yes.
My question was that when we are doing meditation and we are sitting like this,
then everybody can see you, see? This way only I can see you.
Thank you.
But then that's kind of selfish of me. It's nice if everybody can see you.
Thank you.
Okay. You want to tell everybody your name?
Sanjeev.
Yes.
If we are doing meditation and we are sitting like this, after some time we get up from the meditation and we want to change our pose. So in between the meditation, can we change our pose?
Ah, great question. Now, you remember yesterday what we said? Okay. Number one, God loves you. Standing, sitting, lying, hopping, skipping, jumping, any position. Doesn't matter. Both legs crossed, one out, doesn't matter. So as far as the presence of God and the love of God, isko band kar dena. Yeah. If you have a follow-up question, you can just turn it back on. So God loves you in any position. any pose, any position, doesn't matter. And ultimately what meditation is to connect with that presence of God, that presence of the divine in ourselves. So of course we can do that in any position. We just celebrated Mahashivratri. We spoke on Mahashivratri about Bhagwan Shiva having the position in meditation, of having the position of in dance, Nataraj, right? The position of the Shivling. But it's all one. It's all our Bhagwan Shiv. So if God can be dancing, then we can experience God while we dance also. Right? So, that was the one part of the answer. Then yesterday we spoke about the energy channels while the body is straight. Exactly. And why it's important to keep the spine straight. Not rigid, not forcing it, but just straight so the energy of the energetic body can flow easily. So the energetic body can flow easily. Now the legs. Absolutely you can change the cross of your legs, because what happens otherwise is, chalo, when we sit for meditation, we close our eyes, we focus on the breath, we focus on a mantra. और फिर 1-2-5 मिनट के बाद क्या होता? Sometimes 5 seconds के बाद क्या होता? What happens? Thoughts come, right? You get distracted. And then what do? We bring it back. Thoughts come again, we bring it back. Throughout all of our meditation, our mind is going and we are bringing it back. Now, when you are meditating, if in your legs there is a pain in your knee, a pain in your hip, a pain in your ankle, that makes you want to change the cross of your legs, ध्यान कहाँ जाएगा? हाँ, change करने में. And if you don't change, फिर ध्यान कहाँ जाएगा? हाँ, इसका. If you don't change the cross of your legs, then?
मेडिटेशन नहीं कर पाएंगे.
क्यों नहीं कर पाएंगे?
क्योंकि ध्यान उस पे ही रहेगा.
हाँ, ध्यान उस पे जाएगा. The meditation, our attention is going to go to our pain. और अगर change करेंगे तो फिर क्या होगा?
फिर easily हो जाएगा.
So, when the aim is to prolong our meditation, to be able to keep the awareness on the mantra, on the breath, on that which we are meditating upon, we need to have as few distractions as possible. It's why we meditate in a quiet place. It's why we close our eyes. It's why we turn off our phones. Now, yes, you could meditate in the middle of the street. But it's much more difficult because we get distracted. I mean, God is everywhere. Our true self is everywhere. The truth is everywhere. The truth doesn't need a dark room. God doesn't need a quiet room, one corner. But we need that because otherwise we get distracted. When there is pain in the legs that's going to keep distracting you, and a very simple change of the position can keep you meditating, then absolutely just gently change the cross of your legs. You don't have to think about it. However, so yesterday I gave you a 2-part answer. Today I will also give you a 2-part answer. So that was part 1. ठीक है? Part 1 का मूल lesson, no problem. Change the cross of your legs. Taki, you can
start the meditation
You don't even have to start it again. It keeps going. You're not at square one. Just don't think, now I am changing the cross of my legs. Now I move my right leg out. Now this is my left leg. Now, wo mat karo. Just aram se dhyan karte hue change the cross of your legs. You don't have to tell a whole story about it. Okay? So you can actually stay in your meditation. Just gently you change the position of the legs. But part 2. Sometimes it's also very powerful to do a meditation around pain. I remember when I first came to India and first came to Rishikesh, सुबह 5 बजे हमारे सत्संग भवन में प्रार्थना होती है. उसी समय it was compulsory. आधा घंटे का प्रार्थना और फिर एक हिंदी में lecture, संदेश, satsang. So at that time I was not used to sitting on the ground and my legs would start to pain. And I would just change them, no problem. But every once in a while, the satsang room was so packed, so many people, that I had ladies everywhere. और जगह नहीं थी. मतलब हिल नहीं पाए थोड़ा सा भी. And in those days, and some other days, just जब भी I thought this will be a good practice. When that pain came, मैंने ऐसे निश्चित किया कि I will not move. मैं हिलूंगी नहीं, कुछ भी हो जाए. मच्छर हो, pain ho, itch ho, जो भी है. Any sensation I have, anything, I will not move. Now I knew ये एक घंटे का program. And I knew enough about my body to know that I was not going to do any kind of permanent damage to my body. I'm not suggesting that you do something that creates permanent damage in your body. But I knew that with an extra half an hour longer than I was comfortable sitting without moving, I was not going to damage my knee or damage my hip. I was just going to be in pain. And in those days, पूरा ध्यान उसमें चला गया. And I allowed it. I made that pain my meditation. And in those days what I would do, because in the beginning, of course, you try not to pay attention to it. You try to ignore it. Just keep doing the mantra. It works for a few minutes, but then the pain becomes too much. Too uncomfortable. And so I just allowed that to become my meditation. And I would go into the pain, deep into it. And I would look at the pain. And I would say, is that all you got? Really? Come on. Give it to me more. I'm still here. Come on, give me your best pain. And I would sort of play with it a little bit. And I did that because most of us, and myself included, we tend to feel in many ways like slaves of the sensations of our body. We feel hungry, we eat. Thirsty, we drink. Sleepy, we go to sleep. Whatever the body sends us a message, we immediately do it. Now, most of the time, it's very good. We should eat when we're hungry. We should drink when we're thirsty. We should sleep when we're tired. But it's also very important to realize we are not slaves of that. इसलिए कभी-कभी हम सारे रात जगते हैं ध्यान करते हुए. Right? इसलिए जब पूज्य स्वामी जी जंगल में थे, अपने साधना कर रहे थे, उनको 11 घंटों तक वृक्षासन करना पड़ा. 11 घंटे. सोचो. Too long. Most of us मतलब 11 मिनट नहीं कर पाते. 11 घंटे रोज. छोटी सी उम्र में, आपकी उम्र में. But the reason that these types of very, very powerful sadhanas are given is it creates such a powerful teaching in the mind that I am not the body. I am not the body. I am not the hunger. I am not the thirst. I'm not the pain. Pain is there, and I'm here. Now it's burning even more, but I'm still here. Burning even more, I'm still here. Burning more, I'm still here. And that stays with us throughout our lives, so that whatever impulse we're getting that says, do this, do that, we know. I don't have to. I'm not a slave. तो कभी कभी जब मन कहता है कि change the cross, most of the time do it, no problem. But कभी कभी ऐसे निर्णय लो कि जब तक ये अलार्म नहीं बजेगा मैं हिलूंगी नहीं. एक अलार्म लगा. पौने घंटे का, एक घंटे का, आधा घंटे का. Depends how long it usually takes you to change your legs. Just increase it by another, say 20 minutes, half an hour, and set an alarm. जब तक ये अलार्म नहीं बजेगा मैं बिल्कुल हिलूंगा नहीं. कोई भी कुछ भी हो, कोई भी कुछ भी हो.
This also happens with me when this also happens with me when I get to bed to sleep. Sometimes this happens that I'm having very itching and move here, move that side, I'm not comfortable. So sometimes when I'm angry, I just say that अब तुम ऐसी रहो, मैं नहीं हिल रही.
बहुत बढ़िया. Beautiful. Beautiful. First of all, when you go to sleep, it's normal. Everybody moves a little bit before we find the right position, so don't worry about that. Number 2, होते रहते कोई बात नहीं. Then I love your thing. Just now I'm not going to move anymore. Beautiful.
Mom also said that you just move whole night. You can't even sleep.
It's okay. I think you sleep. If you didn't sleep, you would not be so vibrant. You are very vibrant. It's okay. You're young. Kids move in their sleep. Don't worry about it. When my adopted daughter used to sleep with me, she kicked me all night long. All night long. She moved all night long. She kicked me. No problem. Don't worry. जी, आपका. हाँ, yes. पहले आपका, फिर आपका.
Pranam.
You can go back, sweetie.
In Srimad Bhagavad Gita, श्री भगवान उवाच श्लोक में भक्ति योग 12 अध्याय अभ्यास योगे न ततो मामिच्छाप्तुम धनंजय. ऐसा अभ्यास जो वर्ड है, शब्द है, वो काफ़ी समय भगवान ने कहा है. तो वो what the Almighty Power expects, what type of study He expects from us.
Beautiful. Abhyas. Abhyas is practice. Practice. In this leela of God's, क्योंकि देखो, ultimately at the core, we are one with God. We are not separate. Nothing should be needed to experience that oneness. Na bhakti, na gyan, na karm, na raja. मतलब कुछ भी जरूरी नहीं होना चाहिए. We are one with God. And yet, in this leela, we are one, but we have forgotten that we are one. So we live as separate. This is why we are coming back to God, चाहे भक्ति योग से, चाहे कर्म योग से, ज्ञान योग से, तीनों से, राज योग से, कोई भी योग से, कोई भी मार्ग से, we are moving back toward the divine, back toward our true self. But as part of this Leela, we've been given these human bodies and these human experiences. And in the human experience, there's ego. Right? The ego thinks I am this body. Therefore, I have greed, I have lust, I have anger, I have ignorance, I have desire, I have aversion, I have so much that makes me forget God, and that makes me forget who I am. So this is where our sadhana comes in. So we're given, for example, practices in meditation of neti neti, not this, not that, right? I am not the clothes, I am not the body, one by one. We're given practices of simply asking, who am I? Who am I? We're given scriptures for swadhyay, to be able to read, to be inspired, to learn, to understand, oh, that's who I am. Lekin fir we will forget. Abhyas karna, meaning we must keep practicing in our minds, remembering the truth, remembering the teachings. We must bring the practice into our lives, practices of meditation, practices of prayer, surrender. But all of this is a practice. So what God is wanting of us in this abhyas is that we keep practicing. Keep practicing. There's nothing in life that we can do well without practicing. Piano, bajana chahenge, so you have to practice. Tabla bajana chahenge, you practice. You want to be a musician, you want to be an artist, you want to be a singer, you want to be an athlete. Well, you have to practice. Nobody would say, Chalo, today I'm going to play Mozart. I've never played the piano, but aaj main piano ke samne baith ke and I will play a beautiful rendition of Mozart. It's impossible, unless you're Mozart. You practice, you practice, you practice, you practice, you practice. And this is why, as in our meditation, our mind goes, we bring it back. It goes, we bring it back. So in our lives, we forget, we bring it back. The Bhagavad Gita is 700 verses of Bhagavan Krishna reminding Arjuna, reminding us through Arjuna. But however many times we've read the Gita, fear to be, we forget, right? We lose ourselves. We fall into greed, lust, jealousy, anger, rag, dvesh. Isliye abhyas chahiye. Roj. Isliye discipline chahiye, taki abhyas roj ho jaye. Because if you just leave it up to the mind, 4 baje subah ya 5 baje subah alarm bajte hain. And what does the mind say? Yeah. Forget it. Are kya jaruri, kya hota usse? Kuch hone wale nahi hai. Kam se kam thoda sa neend le lo, right? So you see how the mind works. Or the mind says, bas thodi der ke baad, chalo sham ko karungi, wapas aake karungi. That's what we need, the discipline of abhyas. Because the mind itself is very flighty. Abhyas is the answer. It's that which molds the mind so that we can actually have the experience that we are meant to have. Yes. Last.
Myself, Dr. Professor Ramesh Kumar Gupta. I am from a small village in Nagrota, J&K, Jammu Kashmir.
माइक्रोफोन थोड़ा सा ऊपर कर दीजिएगा बस ताकि इसलिए कि जो लोग अभी ऑनलाइन हमारे साथ थोड़ा विश्व से जोड़ रहे हैं ताकि वो भी सुन लें.
I got my matric from my village, Nagrota, in 1969. Then I went to Government Gandhi Memorial, or that was Gandhi Memorial College, Jammu. And in 1974, I got BSc degree.
Wonderful.
And then I went to Postgraduate Department of Chemistry, and I got MSc in 1976 in Physical Chemistry. After doing my PhD in 1980, I joined as assistant professor in Guru Nanak Dev University, Amritsar.
Wonderful.
Then militancy started in 1984. I have to leave that job, and in my home state, I got lecturer in degree college in Kashmir, Sopor, which was also a hub of militancy. Then in 89, again militancy started in Kashmir. I was posted at Government Degree College, Anantnag, as lecturer in chemistry. Then I was transferred to Government College for Women, Jammu. I worked there for 13 years. And then I was transferred to Government Degree College, Udhampur, for 1.5 years. Then I was again transferred back to Government MAM College, Jammu, for 8 years. After, in 2008,
Is there-
2008.
आपका एक question है उसमें?
जी.
Is there a question in
Yes,
this?
yes.
Okay, okay.
So I was selected as principal of Government Degree College, Kishtwar. I was retired at the age of 58 from Degree College, Kishtwar. Now we have हमने एक सोसाइटी इंटरनेशनल सोसाइटी बनाई है, उसका नाम है ISCOS, International Society for Solid State Chemists and Analysts. So we have got about 1,500 our members.
Wonderful.
So I am we have one president, I am second. There I am Dean of Academics, Institute of Solid State and Material Science at University of Jammu, Jammu. I am working as honorary. I am not getting any pay.
Beautiful.
Now I am also member of Jammu Cultural Forum, there are 2,500 members, musicians, artists, others. I am also a singer, and I have got everything, whatever. I was selected as visiting professor at University of Karlsruhe, Germany in 1985.
Wonderful.
And now I have got everything. I have money, I have position, I am happy. I work for 19 hours. मैं जागता हूँ, उठता हूँ मैं 4 बजे अमृत बेला में, तो 5 घंटे में सोता हूँ. नींद बहुत बढ़िया आती है, आनंद से रहता हूँ. जैसे यहाँ पर आया हूँ आपके यहाँ दर्शन करने के लिए, तो गुरु जी के दर्शन करने मैंने सोच रहा था इनसे दीक्षा ली जाए, और मैंने अपना रिज्यूम इनको दिया है।
Wonderful.
तो कोशिश करता हूँ कि वो मुझे शिष्य बना लें। तो वहाँ मैंने एक योगा इंस्टीट्यूट भी बना कर रखा हुआ है। तो यूट्यूब में हमारा भजन संध्या आती है 7 से 9 तक। तो इतना है, सभी लोग कहते हैं कि अभी इतना आपको मिल रहा है, पेंशन 1 लाख के करीब मिल रही है, तो क्या काम करने की क्या ज़रूरत है? क्या मुझे वही पूछना, क्वेश्चन ये है, क्या मुझे काम करते रहना चाहिए? क्योंकि मैं चाहता हूँ कि दौड़ूं
Beautiful.
पूरी
Okay.
दुनिया।
So he's given us a very beautiful life history of all of the wonderful achievements that he's had to be able to be in such great service. Academic service, service of the nation, service in so many different ways. And now, even after having retired, he's continued to be in service in so many different ways, so many different positions, so many different organizations. And now he's 70. And people are asking him, you've achieved so much, you've got the money, you've got the acclaim, why do you still want to work? So he's asking, should he keep working or should he stop working? It's all actually in the words. अगर आपको लगता है काम है, तो आवश्यकता नहीं है। पर अगर आपको लगता है सेवा है, तो करते रहो. If the work feels like a burden, if it feels like something I've got to do, well, yes, exactly. That's my point. That is my point. Is when something feels like a burden. Yes, there are times in our life where we have to do it anyway. You've got a family to feed, you have to put food on the table. And yet, the rest of the time, whatever we're doing, there's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful poem by Khalil Gibran, who's one of my favorite poets. And the poem is called On Work. He's done these beautiful poems on so many different aspects of life. And this is a poem about work. And there's a line in the poem. He speaks about how work is such a gift, a divine gift to be able to work in any way. And he says, but if work to you is a burden, it is better that you sit outside the gates of the temple and ask for alms, rather than pollute whatever you're doing with the negativity of your mind. If what we're doing feels like a burden, to whatever extent possible, if you can't take it as a spiritual, wonderful gift to be able to be an instrument of the divine on earth, if it feels like a burden, as Khalil Gibran says, it's better you sit outside the temple and beg for food rather than pollute that whole chain of service of whatever you are involved in. But what you've just spoken about so beautifully is how even doing things that we would call calm work, it doesn't feel like work. It feels like a joy. It feels like an opportunity. It feels like a gift. You're full of energy. He said he only sleeps 5 hours a night. His sleep is great. He's full of vigor. This is the juice of life. Ye jivan karas. And this is why seva is such a gift, not for those we're serving, but it's a gift for us to be able to serve. Because it enables us to do work through the perspective of, the bhav of, the experience of. service. And when you do that, then you are in alignment with the flow of the universe. So when it feels like seva to you, keep doing it to your last breath. To your last breath. If it feels like work to you and a burden to you, work less, meditate more until your mind changes, and then you realize that which you're doing in the world is simply the physical expression of what you are experiencing in your meditation. Yeah.
I want to work till death,
Beautiful.
like Dr. Abul Kalam Azad Sahab.
Beautiful.
He was giving lessons
Yes.
and he
Yes. There's so many beautiful examples of beautiful souls who keep serving as long as there's breath in our lungs, to keep serving. And that's ultimately the aim of life. So beautiful. Wonderful. And thank you for being an inspiration to so many.
मेरा वहाँ जर्मनी में जब गया तो उन्होंने पूछा, मैंने पूछा डायरेक्टर साहब लैंग्वेज कोर्स हाइडलबर्ग में था, हाइडलबर्ग हिल स्टेशन है वहाँ का जर्मनी का। ये लाइव बंद हो जाए फिर बात लाइव चल।
Beautiful. हम उसके बाद बात करेंगे फिर. Beautiful. बाकी questions हम कल ले लेंगे. Have a beautiful, beautiful rest of your evening, a beautiful morning and day to our family joining us from all over the world. And so much love to you all. We'll see you all tomorrow. And by the way, if you have a question, but you feel shy to ask it in public, you can also get it onto the sheet in advance. If you see a member of our beautiful Seva team afterwards, they can help get your question onto the sheet, or you can also just, give it on a piece of paper when you come in as well. I know sometimes people feel shy to ask them in person.